Bom dia a todos no Brasil. Good morning, everyone in America, Europe, Asia, Africa. Bom dia. Here is Cristiano Galvão. I'm here with David Benaim, and he's here live. Let me put him on the screen. Good morning, and let's go. Let's go. It's your show.
Hello, Cristiano. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Brazil.
And how is the
So,
sound? Everyone hearing correctly? Ligia is here double checking. Write in the chat your name and if you can hear and see everything clear. This is the first session of the Sunday considering the Brazilian time zone. They are saying good morning, so they are hearing you. Okay, let me put you on the full screen. Have a great presentation as always, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, David, and let's start.
okay, great. Thank you, Cristiano. It's great to be here, everyone. Um, Someone said hello from Australia. I'm also in the East. I'm in Cambodia, in Asia, which is where I've been living for the last 8 years. So let's get started then. I'm going to jump right in and share my screen. So, yeah, Cristiano, can you show my shared screen? I think it should be shared now. Great, yeah. So I am here. I am following on the YouTube. So if you have any questions or anything you want to say, just type something into the chat and I'll have a look at that and see if I can answer you. So welcome to my session today. It's on modern visuals in Excel and how to make them interactive through slices. So we're going to cover 6 segments in this short half hour using map charts, which is my favorite feature probably of all of these. Then we're going to look at waterfall charts, a really fantastic tool that is now built into Excel. We're going to look at statistical charts, like this is a box and whisker chart, which is the one that I think is the most useful. Then we're going to look at Excel's new AI tool, which is called Analyze Data, and it puts things in charts for you. Some things about icons and even using infographics in Excel. So a little bit of a fun hack there, and then we'll summarize what we've talked about. We're going to jump right in. It's going to be very demo heavy. I only have 30 minutes, so pay attention. Otherwise, you can watch the video later on, but I'm going to show a lot of demos in this 30-minute slot. So going into maps and geography, I made this today. So this is, as a lot of you will recognize, this is a map of Brazil. And this is showing you the population by region in Brazil. So I was able to do all of this within Excel. It's using a couple of the new features. So what you do is, if you have Office 365, you can write in Brazil, and then you can go to the data tab and choose geography here from the data types. So really great new feature. Ask you what I want it to be. Apparently, Brazil is also a city in Indiana and Iowa. I'm going to go with the country. And then it gives me all these details about Brazil. So I can add the flag, the area, other things. But also now you can add the subdivisions. So I can click on this and expand these to the grid. And this actually creates a dynamic array. That's what this blue outline represents. I'm sure you have, some of you may know what dynamic arrays are. Otherwise, there's lots of great sessions on that during the Excel weekend. So I can insert data for all of these. I can insert, for example, the population number like this. And then let me give it some titles. So region and population. And then I can select them and I can go to insert and choose a map chart like that. And it provides me with this map of Brazil, according to it like that, with the population. There's a few different things I can do with this. And let me give you another example. So let's give some countries in South America. So Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru. I'm not going to do all of the continent. Let's just go with those. Now it does ask me to convert it to data types. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say this is my country. This is my population. This is my, let's say, sales that I'm making in these. So I'm going to do a random between 1 and 900 just to quickly get some data there. And I'm going to insert a map chart like this. Now here you have a lot of these South American countries. But what you can do is you can right click and choose Format Data Series. One of the key ones here is only regions with data. So it's showing me the whole of South America, including Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, Ecuador. Maybe I don't want that, so I can say only regions with data, and it only shows me these ones that I say. Also, map projection. This is if you're looking at something for the whole world, not really relevant for a smaller area. And you can say if you want the map labels like this, best fit only can show Brazil, but show all shows them like this. I personally don't think it does this very well. Other applications will put arrows next to it, but you can do data labels, which are different from that, and get the number, which is different from this one. And this is the legend. You can change the colors and other things using these features, same as regular charts. So it works in two different ways. It works with numbers, but it also works with categories. So let's say, for example, it's random numbers, so it's going to change. Let's say this is category. This is cold, hot, cold, cold, hot. I'm just doing general ones, medium, medium. Just different categories. So you can select two columns, holding control in between. You can go to insert and map chart, and it actually does a different kind of map chart. So a categorical one. So here, instead of having a number line like a color scale, it does this, where it has instead the different colors according to what it is. This is random. The cold is blue and orange is hot. You can change the colors, of course, if you want, but this is a second time of map charts. So there are two types of map charts that you can do in this way. So that's really good. I showed you data types as well. Data types have just expanded. I know you have another session on that, but the Wolfram data types are absolutely amazing, what you can do with this stuff. But I won't go into that in too much detail, but it's pretty cool. Okay. So I like to jump straight into the demo and then explain a bit about me. So my name is David Benaim, and I have a YouTube channel with over 3,000 subscribers. I also do regular blog posts about Excel and also other apps. So feel free to check out my YouTube channel. I publish one video a week on Excel, but also sometimes Google Sheets, PowerPoint, Power BI, and Word, Teams, even all that stuff. I do a lot of these kind of videos. So here are some of the ones that I will show you how to do some infographics later on. But yeah, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. I do try and talk about a lot of speed up tricks and a lot of other things as well. A lot of new features. I am a Microsoft MVP. Just like Cristiano, I became an MVP 1 year ago in February 2020. So I haven't been able to go to meet any of the other MVPs because it was already COVID. I've met a couple before. I've never met Cristiano, for example. I am a chartered accountant, and I do a lot of training, face-to-face training or online with COVID. but I have done training with over 2,000 people, mostly in Excel, and I run a consulting firm that has worked with over 120 organizations. Also, more recently, I am now working a lot with COVID data. So I am publishing every day a dashboard about COVID data for Cambodia, which I create in Excel like this. And then I publish it on Twitter and on Facebook just so people can stay informed. It's not a paid job, but just to help people understand the vaccinations, the case numbers, the moving averages, the active versus cumulative positivity rate, etc. So this is something that I am working on. I work a lot with charts in Excel, and I get over 1,000 of people who read this stuff every day that I post. And I love visualizations in Excel, often more than Power BI. But I do a lot with Power BI when it's a robust data model. So let's go into some next tips. Waterfall charts. Waterfall charts are a great way of showing what happens from one point in time to the next point in time where you have lots of changes, so positives and negatives. Most charts cannot show you positives and negatives particularly well, but waterfall charts are very, very good for that. So let's go to this one. So over here, I have some data that shows me some profit numbers, and then let's say I have extra sales from existing products, and then I have sales from new products that I want to differentiate, and then I closed a branch in Kratze. So I have lost revenue because I have closed a branch, and therefore I've lost profit as well. So I'm going from my 2016 profit of 300,000, adding extra sales, new products, they go up, and then negative numbers because I closed a branch, and this gets me to my 2017 profit. So all you have to do is write in your data like this. You can select it, go to the Insert tab, and then here you have this icon, and choose a waterfall chart. There used to be a hack to do this in Excel that took many, many steps. Now it's quite easy. It does it like this. You're not finished yet. The next step is very important. You have to click once, that will select all of them. Click twice, right click, and choose Set as Total. This is a waterfall chart only feature. So click on that and do that for the start as well, Set as Total, and then it will give you the data like this. So here I can see the increases are blue, the decreases are red. I can, of course, change the color like I can with most Excel charts. Let's say that you want something like this. They don't have what you might expect, which is increases green, decreases red, but you can kind of make do with something like this. I tend to try and clean up my charts as well, particularly this waterfall chart. I like the data labels here. I don't like the axis values, so I delete that. I click on this and delete the grids as well. And I click on, I'm going to delete the chart title unless it's explaining what it's doing. So this is a waterfall chart, pretty useful for this specific situation. Some people use it for other things as well, but I don't particularly like it for breakdowns of profits and things. I think it's fantastic for looking at the change from one point in time to another point in time in a situation where you could have both positives and negatives. It's fantastic. I find Power BI's waterfall charts are much more difficult to work with than Excel's. I think Excel does it really well. So I really like using these. So next up, we have, back to my slides. Next up, we have statistical and hierarchies charts. So this thing is called a box and whisker chart, and I use these a lot. I'm also going to show you how to use them with slices and make them interactive. A lot of people don't know you can use these with slices. So if you try to do these modern charts using a pivot table, it doesn't let you, but they can still work with slices. So I'm going to show you how that's done. So here I have the 3 statistical charts that you can do. One of them is a box and whisker, looks like this. One of them is a Pareto chart, and one of them is called a histogram. I really love this one. This one I use somewhat. It's actually got some really cool features, even if you're not after this. And then the last one, I don't use histograms that often, or if I do, I don't make them in this way. I use them with pivot tables. Okay. Yeah, John Peltier just mentioned a comment that Excel's waterfall charts could be better. I completely agree. Some waterfall charts have lots of additional features, like doing them vertically instead of horizontally, or having labels show in different ways, or separating it out in different ideas. Yeah, so John works a lot with charts and has some add-ins that could be very good. And he's another MVP who who I've met before. So here we have a slicer, and watch this. If I filter for female or male, it's actually changing the charts. What a slicer does in this case is it works from an Excel table, and your data must be using an Excel table, and then it's filtering the table, which is in turn filtering the charts. So what do we do with box and whiskers? We select a category column and a numerical column, and you go to insert, and in this one you get a box and whisker like that. So what I don't like about the defaults is the lines are not clear enough, so I always change them to black shape outline, and then I also will make certain things bigger like that so we can read them. And here we can see the box and whisker. So I'm not going to go into statistics too deeply, but we can see that this is the lowest number, this is the highest number in the range. This is the mean, or people call the average. This is the median, means half the points are above this, half are below. This is the lower and upper quartiles. So what it's good for is showing you spread of data as well as averages. And a lot of the times people just look at averages and that doesn't give you enough. It also can show you outliers. So this is statistically an outlier in the case that Excel does it, is if the point is more than 1.5 times the interquartile range away from the top quartile or the bottom quartile, it's deemed to be an outlier. I have a YouTube video about it. I've actually got a couple if you want to learn more. But let me go on to the next chart. So this is a Pareto chart. What it does is it takes all of your data and puts a cumulative line as well. But what I really like about it is it acts like a pivot chart as well. So if you don't know how to make pivot tables and you have this kind of data, you want to show for example, the sum of all of these numbers by country. Then what you can do is you can just select them, and you can go to insert, and if you choose a histogram, it will do that, and it will sort them from biggest to smallest, which is great. It's so hard to do that otherwise. For people that don't know pivot tables, for example, they might try and do this. No, that's not going to work. And even if you do know pivot tables, then you need to do these ones like that, and then you need to make a chart. And sure, it works, but then you need to sort the chart. Strangely enough, you can sort charts when they're in pivot charts, but not elsewhere. And that will sort the pivot table with it. But there's a lot of steps to get there. Whereas if you just use a Pareto chart the way I showed you, then you have the chart looking like this. If you don't like this cumulative line, you can just format it and make it no line. So you don't need the cumulative line. And you can make these have a wider gap between them. The gap width you can put to be 20, and you can do pretty much the same as a bar chart, but it's able to do it without having a pivot table. So I really like these and I use them quite a lot. The last one, histogram, is for when you have only numbers. That is where you go to insert and histogram, this one. It puts them in bins. It has a way that you calculate that, and you can format it and change the bin width or the number of bins. I personally don't love the way that it does it. I prefer doing them in other mediums with pivot tables, but I do love these two charts. I think they're really, really, really good. The Pareto chart and the box and whisker. I use box and whiskers all the time. And as I said, as long as your data, if you want to make them interactive, just create the charts. Make sure your data is in an Excel table. To do that, you need to go to Insert Table and make an Excel table. And then after you've done that, you can insert a slicer of the other category here. And then as I do it, it does filter. One thing with these, though, if you are doing it in the same page, you want the charts to stay in place. So here's a trick on charts or any kind of objects. Right-click, click on an object, press Control A to select them all. Right-click and choose Size and Properties. Then you choose Don't Move or Size with Cells. And that means that when you click the slicer, the charts don't move, even though the cell filters move. That is different to what you might get like this, which is where you want a filter to mouse, for example. I want the filter, the items to stay where they are. What you can do is you can click on one, press Control A to select all objects, right click and choose Size and Properties. And here you can choose Move and Size with Cells. Make sure these are inside the cell. And then if you filter, it will work fine like that. By the way, where did I get these icons? And that is another trick that you can do. You can go to Insert and then Icons here. This is brand new in Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. I definitely use them more in PowerPoint, but definitely icons can come into play if you're building a visual dashboard. You can add these as you want, or you have stock photos as well, which is beautiful, beautiful stock images. So you can add them. And the cool thing about these icons is you can actually fill them and choose an outline, and then you can get them to color to anything that you want. You can convert them to shapes. And once they're converted to shapes, you can even create some icon charts like this. So here, if I created this in PowerPoint, I can go to Select Data, and if I change these numbers, then that will reflect how much of it is filled out. So if you want to know how to do that, I don't have time to cover this today, but I have video on my YouTube of different ways to do stacked and percent filled infographics like that. So feel free to check out my YouTube channel if you're interested in that. David Benaim on YouTube. All right, let's do some others very quickly because we're running low on time. So what I would say is you have some other charts in Excel. If you are starting with some more complex ones, try them from PowerPoint. This is a trick that someone told me once, and you'll see why. So for example, sunburst and tree map. I honestly don't love these. They are hierarchical charts, but they can be very, very tricky if you start them in Excel. But if you start them in PowerPoint, you'll see what happens. So what it does is it pops up with a placeholder, which Excel does not do. So if you don't know where to start, then here is how you can pop up with a placeholder. So I can say, for example, this is 76, and maybe this is Berlin, Paris, Rome. And I am changing them here. These are leaves. The closest ones are called branches, and these are biggest. So maybe this is, Europe. And I'm filling that down, and I might want to delete these rows. That's okay. And then you can get, for example, America like that, and Brazil, Chile. So yeah, there you go. This is how you can do them. If you're ever trying to create a complex chart in Excel, I would recommend opening up PowerPoint because that will tell you where to go. If you try making a chart in Excel, then you have no indication for how to do it. So the tree maps and the sunbursts are here, but you don't know how you're supposed to set up the data to do that. The last modern chart is a funnel chart. I don't really think these are particularly useful. They're good for like sales funnels, but they don't have that many special features. I don't use them in Power BI, and I don't really use them in Excel. We also have data analysis. So let's say you have data like this. You can go to Analyze Data in the Home tab in Excel, and then it puts things in charts for you, often in pivot charts, sometimes in histograms, and it will give you insights. So here is frequency. This is actually a histogram. If I press Insert, let's put them in bins like that. You can edit it once it's there. Here are some interesting insights. So this is real COVID data about Cambodia by province, by age, and gender. So here it's telling me that young people have noticeably higher cases. So that's an insight maybe that I wouldn't have known otherwise. And you can also, from there, analyze data and ask questions. So I can say, for example, what is the median age by gender? And let me tell you, it's impossible to do this with a pivot table. If I insert it, it doesn't give you a pivot table because this is impossible to do with a pivot table. Google Sheets has a similar version of this. As I said, I'm a huge Google Sheets fan, and I often do webinars on Excel versus Google Sheets. I'm doing one at the end of this month, actually. And yeah, there's a lot that Google does better. This analyzed data is an example of that. It gives you AI ideas, but you can ask lots and lots of things. So you can say cases by province. You can say in line charts. I wouldn't do this because line should only be data over time, but you can say things like that and then insert the pivot chart to get there really fast. Yeah. So we are running out of time. Also briefly wanted to show Sparkline, super simple, insert. And then here you have these charts. So this is my data range. These came out in 2010, so I'd hardly say they were new, been around for 12 years, but they just provide you with an in-cell chart, which is fantastic. You can put markers. You can also do only a marker for the high and the low, something you cannot do with regular charts in Excel, I believe, at least not without a hack, but they can be really good for that. You can also make other types of spark lines. So these are the three of them. But honestly, I very, very rarely will use them. And it will give me solutions that I can make sort of like this, whereby you can have critical, major, minor, different places, female and male. And then if the person wants to expand, they can click on this and they can see these charts. This is kind of like a bit of a population pyramid sort of chart, and then they can expand more and see the numbers. The features here that I've used are, this is sparklines. This thing is called grouping. I love grouping. I think people don't use it enough in Excel. It's really, I never use the hide feature because I think it's terrible. I instead go select columns or rows, go to the data tab and choose group. That means it's kind of like hiding, but it's a lot more guided. People can expand or collapse them. One important thing if you are going to use grouping though, is that you want to go to edit data, hidden and empty cells, and you want to tick the box that says show data in hidden rows and columns, something that you cannot, you have to do the same in regular big charts as well. Then these finally is conditional formatting. So what I do is I will clear my formats, go to conditional formatting, and I'll choose data bars and more rules. I'll choose a data bar here, and I'll choose show bar only. That way I don't have the numbers. Choose another color. Maybe, yeah, the blue one. This blue one will do. And I can do a gradient fill like that. Oh, and sorry, I can manage the rules and edit. And I can choose to do the bar direction from right to left, like that. There you go. So that is how I do these kind of charts. Whew. So a real whistle-stop tour there. Go back to my PowerPoint slides. Yeah, so if you want to learn how to make these infographics, do check out my YouTube channel. We have covered maps and geography waterfall charts, statistical charts, and hierarchy charts. Those are the sunbursts and the tree maps. Analyze data, infographics, and icons. One last thing. You cannot do these inside a pivot table. So I built a pivot table earlier here. If I try and do these as one of these charts, it will tell me it does not work. The way to do them with slicers, as I said, is do the slicer from a table, not from a pivot table, and it will work really well. So that is my summary. And finally, my name was David Benaim, and check out my YouTube channel. Oh, one more thing. I do quarterly blog posts on everything that's new across technology. So I write these for the UK Accounting Institute. So it covers Excel, Teams, Power BI, PowerPoint, Zoom. I just launched one this week. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, then check it out. It's just a public website where you can see everything that's new across your office technology, or even Google Apps for Business as well, and Zoom. So yeah, I'll put some links in the YouTube description for my latest one, which came out last week, and for my YouTube channel.
Thank you very much, David. Bye bye. See you in the next session. Bye bye, everyone.